little while, I even taught 3D modeling to college students. But for the last 2 years, I found my artistic home at Media Molecule, where I've been crafting beautiful dreams in dreams. Before I dive in, advice for me is a bit like an old mixtape. Here's all the best bits I've picked for you. Feel free to cherry pick the gems that resonate the most with you. And also remember that there are plenty of other mixtapes out there, so feel free to explore different opinions, especially from folks in your own creative niches. No matter where you are in your artistic journey, whether you're diving headfirst into an art career or just making it your favorite hobby, let's start with some timeless wisdom on just becoming a better artist in general. Because at the end of the day, whether you're painting on canvas or in pixels, being a great video game artist is just really about being an exceptional artist in general. So first off, follow your joy. Boosting your creativity can be as easy as trying out new things. If you're jazzed about diving into a fresh artistic medium, go for it. This is a really fast-paced industry. Everything evolves, new software, new careers, new art styles. There's always room to explore all the exciting new avenues that interest you. With that in mind, keep exploring. No need to break the bank. Hit up museums, go to galleries or craft workshops, snag some vintage art books, bask in the great outdoors, visit the zoo, attend life drawing sessions, even take a virtual stroll on Google Maps and sketch some cool architecture. Load up your brain with references. The more diverse, the better. Hone in your taste and your style by soaking in all that goodness. Also, give your brain a breather to think creatively. A bunch of top-tier artists that I work with take leisurely strolls at lunchtime. You know how those genius thoughts always come to you in the shower? Giving your brain some time to roam really does help the creative process. And here's just a number of galleries and workshops I've been on that have really helped me. The second thing, talking about self-improvement, learn to teach yourself. Get ready for a lifetime of learning. It's going to be your trusty sidekick on this artistic journey. Embrace it. Software will come and go. You'll be asked to learn new software all the time. Substance Painter and Designer wasn't even invented when I left university. You need to be good at learning, adapting, and teaching yourself. No university course can spoon-feed you all the tricks you'll need in this fast-paced industry. To get the most out of any qualification, you'll also have to go just a little bit beyond what they taught you. Learning to be a good student of art and of life is really vital for a long career. Now, I'm an artist, not a writer, so I'm going to steal a quote from the author of Good Omens, Neil Gaiman here. When times get tough, this is what you should do. Make good art. I'm serious. IRS on your trail, make good art. Cat exploded, make good art. Someone on the internet thinks what you're doing is stupid or evil, or it's all been done before, make good art. Do whatever you can do the best. Make good art. Thanks, Neil. Though honestly, this is a quote from Sinead. You don't even have to make good art. You just have to keep making. Keep failing, fail fast, and learn from those experiences. In the world of art, there really is only one cardinal sin: quitting. So keep those creative fires burning, and remember that the only way to truly go wrong is to just stop making. But you're here because you want to be a career in the video game industry, right? You want to be an artist in video games. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So this is my basic formula for learning 3D art, for getting promotions, for just moving forward. And it's something I go through again and again throughout my career. So to start off, you're going to have a goal. Don't worry, we'll talk about how to work that out later. But it could just be get a junior artist role. It could just be get that promotion. Maybe you just want your role to change at work to something more creative. Then, next, you're going to learn those skills. You need to achieve that goal. You might even change the goal once you've learned more about those skills. And then you're going to practice those skills and prove that you can do them through creating a portfolio. And then you're going to go get that thing, the job, the project, the promotion, the whatever. And then it starts all over again. As you move into specialization, or you get promoted, or you just want to change your career, it'll change. It's worth noting that in the games industry, it's standard practice really to promote you when you are ready. You don't need to wait for that senior role to be open and hiring to go for it. So, what art roles are there in the games industry? Well, loads, actually. I'm pretty confident in saying that whatever your art skills and interests, there is an art role in the industry for you. Maybe you're a really good graphic designer. Perhaps a UI art role would suit you. Or you're really good at creating shaders and enjoy a bit of coding. What about technical art? You love substance designer? How about a role as a material artist? You're really good at rendering in Eevee and Blender? How about a marketing artist role? I promise, there's so many amazing roles just beyond concept art. The best place to start is, what do you enjoy doing, and what are you naturally skilled at? The more you learn, the more you practice and experiment, the more you'll find that perfect role. For example, growing up, I always wanted to be an animator. I even did an animation degree, and then I made an animated short film for my final project. And I found that I just liked modeling way more than I did animating. And do you know what? I was better at it because I liked it. So I then became an environment artist. So how do you go about picking that goal for yourself? Here's some things that I'd consider, and maybe you could too. Your skills, what you enjoy. What kind of films, games, things do you want to make? Do you want to work for a small team in a small studio or a huge AAA studio? If you want to be a generalist, small studios are perfect for that. But if you really want to specialize, a AAA studio is probably more suited to you. How much money do you want to make? Different art roles have different typical salaries. What kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want to work freelance? Do you want a permanent contract? Do you want to start for a small startup? Do you want to create your own startup? And then finally, watch talks and documentaries about games. Try and see what the professionals have to say about their day-to-day roles. And most importantly, keep asking yourself these questions throughout your career. Your dreams will probably change as you grow and change. So, before we make any major career decisions, how much can you earn? Talking about pay is crucial when it comes to choosing a career. If you're curious about the salaries in the fields of art and game development, checking the Skill Search Games and Interactive Salary Satisfaction Report, that could be short, but there we go, on the left, that is where you'll find all this info. So on the left, we have the UK average for a full-time worker in the UK, which is 33 grand, and the average artist salary by seniority going up through the graph, from junior to director. Just to consider, most working artists today are either in the mid or senior positions, with lead or principal salaries principally being end-of-career salaries. With a bit of luck, this is what you'll be retiring on. In my personal experience as well, I've received on average a 5% pay raise per annum, and it's typical to get bonuses based on individual performance and company performance as well, which is not the case in the animation industry, where bonuses aren't very common. Let's break that down just a tiny little bit more, as there's also a huge difference in pay between art roles in the industry. Certain art roles are very in demand, so they tend to pay better and have less competition. Companies are always looking for tech artists, VFX artists, and UI, UX designers. Therefore, typically, the pay is a little bit higher. Whereas a role like concept artist is very competitive, as there are so few concept art roles compared to 3D art roles. Usually, in my experience, there's about one concept artist at every 10 3D artists at a studio, and that can be an even more extreme number. At studios like Media Molecule, we tend to do our own concept art on projects, and at Hutch, the art director did a few key concepts for us. So we picked that goal, time to learn and get those skills. So the most obvious way to learn this stuff, but not the only way, is to work out if university is going to be the right path for you. If you do go to university, I really do advise you pick the best university that you have access to. The Rookies School Rankings and the Screen Skills UK accredited courses are a really good place to find the best courses in the industry. Then I'd advise that you look through ArtStation, find the graduates' work from the institutions that look interesting to you. If you can, try and talk to graduates from these universities and see what they think of it. If university isn't working for you, don't be too scared to change courses or even universities. And make sure you apply for all the student bursaries that you're entitled to. Most scholarships will be available on the university's website. Excuse me. And this is how I got my scholarship for my master's degree. Don't forget, universities can give you access to equipment, studios, education, the knowledge, and most importantly, I believe, the friendship of your peers. It's a very difficult thing to work out the value of, and it's certainly the easiest way to create a community of creatives around you, which is priceless, really. I chose the university route, but it's not the only one. Another artist at Media Molecule, Mr. Dan Goddard, didn't go the uni route. He started in the QA department, and now he's a senior artist alongside me and my team. There's no correct journey, only the journey that's right for you. So, university isn't the only way, as we've said. It's totally possible to self-learn. At some point during your artistic journey, you are probably going to have to pick up some new skills. Try to make sure that the education you're getting is good value for money and of high quality, ideally coming from a current working professional. I've created a list here of quality learning resources that I've either used or would happily pay for with money from my own pocket. And if you are in the industry, it's worth asking at work if they will pay for a course for you to go on. For example, at Media Molecule, we have a group subscription to Nomon, and we also have a personal development fund that we can use on courses like this. So let's start off with some lovely free resources, the best kind, right? ArtStation Learning is probably the best place to go for free industry standard knowledge. And then also, YouTube is also a great place to start. There's online talks like this one for free on channels like the GGC channel and the EGX channel. But do be wary of picking up bad habits from older free tutorials. Next category is the marketplace category. This is where you can get tutorials from active working professionals. Flip Normals and ArtStation, a marketplace, are CG-driven, so they're great places to find reliable and up-to-date tutorials specifically about CG art. With Udemy and Gumroad, also being really good places to buy tutorials, but these are from the actual artists themselves, so you can know, you can support them. But it's a bit harder to search through unless you know the actual artists on their courses. Personally, I think the next one up, the subscription model, is a really good value for money. In fact, when I was a student, me and a friend used to share a subscription account because we couldn't afford it on our own. If you can swing it, Nomon Workshop and Schoolism are both filled with highly curated courses all made by working professionals. And then Patata School is also a really great place for 2D artists wanting to learn 3D. For me, this section is like the perfect mix of money and quality. And then finally, the splurge category. The main difference with these top-end courses is that they come with active teacher feedback, often in the hundreds. This category, if you're already in the industry, you can ask a company to pay for these courses for you or use a personal development fund. These are, a really great resource if you want to move within a company, move to a new specialist area. In fact, I would happily pay for these courses, but they are very expensive. There's CG Masters Academy and Vertex School. Both of these look good to me. And there's also Escape Studios, who do short evening courses online and in person. So here's a question I get from a lot of students. Which 3D software / engine is the best? To be honest, they're all uniquely wonderful and uniquely annoying in equal measure. It doesn't really matter which one you use. It's almost guaranteed that you'll need to swap software at some point, but it is important that you know 3D software really well, and that you're open to learning the pipelines to a studio that you're applying to. Maya is probably the most popular in games right now, so Maya might give you a slight edge in getting initially hired, but this does change by studio. The main thing to know, the base art skills that can be applied to every platform that you're likely to come across. So know those base skills first. Ultimately, when you're just starting out, make sure you know a 3D package, a texturing software, and an engine. More importantly, get used to taking your assets through that whole pipeline, from beginning to end. You can work out which software is vital to the specific role you're interested once you've got the basics down. I would really encourage you to get all those assets up to the finish line and get them in engine, because getting them in Engine puts you at a huge advantage compared to the artists that don't have that in their portfolios. So the most important thing that you can take away from this talk is find yourself a community. If you take one piece of advice from me today, please do this. So 2 types of community, really, online and real life. Online is probably the easiest to find. Ideally, you need a Discord server where you can ask stupid questions and get answers and feedback on your work. Getting stuck into an online community is, in my experience, one of the quickest ways to improve when you're on your own. Flip Normals has a Discord server, The Rookies has a Discord server, and Into Games has a Discord server. In my opinion, my journey improved 100 times quicker as soon as I started posting my work on the old Polycount forums. Follow game studios' accounts. Follow devs. In fact, most of my jobs have come from social media, and studios and people I followed posting when their studios were hiring. Follow studios on LinkedIn and Twitter and sign up to their email lists. Secondly, real-life communities. If you're at university, make sure you're working with other students and learning together and sharing resources together. Maybe even consider joining a video game club if your university has one. Remember that your peers are not your competition. Your peers will help you get jobs when you don't have one. They'll be the people you start companies with. Make meaningful connections early on. It's a small industry in the UK, and you'll probably be working with these people for the rest of your life. And if you aren't at university, try finding local game dev meetups on Eventbrite. Maybe try volunteering at a conference like this one. And make friends, not networking connections. Networking events are great, but the real networking happens between expensive events where you make friends with industry peers. There are plenty of jobs for everyone, I promise. And the more we work together as a community of artists, the more jobs and opportunities there will be. Next, if you can get a mentor, please do that. Limit Break is a fantastic free mentorship program that I've been involved with for many years. I've mentored and I've been mentored, and it's another one of the quickest ways to grow. Into Games also runs a mentorship program, and IGDA also does one, and these are all free. But don't be afraid to reach out to people you've met at events. Ask for a few meetings. Ask for a portfolio review from an artist you respect. If you don't have a mentor within a program, maybe someone you work with, perhaps a senior artist at work or an art director, will be willing to take you under their wing if you ask. And going to events and learning through networking. In fact, volunteering at an event like this can be an affordable way to get your foot in the door and gives you the chance to go to events you might not have been able to afford otherwise. I've tried to give a bunch of different events here, but I specifically recommend BAFTA Guru Live, which put on BAFTA events all around the UK. Yes, there's even one in Wales and Scotland. And this is specifically aimed at getting people into games. EGX is also great, as they always have good industry talks and panels like this one. And finally, student-based festivals at universities, like BFX and Animex, which are, again, great chances to learn and make connections with the industry. So we've learned all those skills. It's now time to practice and prove. So let's say you've done that practicing, time to prove. It's all about the portfolio. The good news is that ultimately to get a good art job, all you really need is a good art portfolio. As long as you have those skills, it doesn't matter if or where you went to university. First off, if you don't want to make a website, you don't really have to. If web design really isn't your thing. Personally, I'd advise you to use a portfolio website. ArtStation is the most popular, with Behance being popular with 2D artists and graphic designers. And obviously, these are both free. You can also post your projects on the Rookies website. When it comes to showreels, they are totally vital for animators, but less vital for other kinds of artists. For example, I would no longer make a showreel of my environment art. The best advice I can give you is go look at portfolios of the people whose job you want, but also look at the portfolios of students who've just graduated and then gotten their first jobs. This will really tell you exactly where you need to be to get hired. Okay. So first page is super important. It's going to show recruiters who you are and if your work is even worth looking at. Oh, help. Oh, it's fine, it's fine. Thank you. So first rule of thumb, most important rule, make lovely thumbnails. Whatever the platform, just don't badly crop a shot from the project. Line it up, make it look nice, try and crop the image to an exciting part of the portfolio. Just imagine the best portfolio you've ever seen, because it's mine. The amount of portfolios I've reviewed where the thumbnails is a tiny shot of a handle of a gun is far too many. For characters, cropping the face is a really good trick. For environments, a lovely shot of the vista, maybe. Where am I? But just put as much effort into the thumbnail as any image inside the project. Back. Okay, so personally, I like to put a logo on the work as if it's a professional piece. You can also do that with personal projects. For me, I think it looks neat and it shows my pro experience really quickly. Second rule, best work first, yes. You can move the project order around on ArtStation. You don't have to go chronologically. I like to put my best pieces at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the top line. Third rule, if there's a header, put your art in it. You don't want anything on your portfolio to look unfinished or blank. Fourth rule, a portfolio should only contain your best work. Please, unfinished work at that. Please no work in progresses, please no life drawing, and please no crowd simulation that you only did for a class once and have no interest in doing again. The golden rule is only work that you're firstly proud of and it's relevant to the job you want. Unfortunately, you've got to be a bit brutal and prune regularly. 4 industry-ready projects is enough to get hired. In fact, 3 good projects will get you hired over 6 good projects, and with which 3 aren't really up to the task. Quality over quantity here. Okay, so you've done that work. Let's lay it out nicely. Obviously, a real portfolio project will be much longer than this layout, but you get the general idea here. First off, I always love it, personally, when a project starts with a video or an embedded turnaround. If you can, show something in Engine, you will be head and shoulders above the rest, as you're showing something beautiful, but also competent. If it's an environment, render a camera slowly moving through or panning through the scene. Add some audio. Show any VFX or animated shader work you've done. If it's a character or prop, try creating a turnaround or slow pans over lovely parts of the asset. Feel free to make this a long video that the viewer can skip around. If it's a concept art project, put the gorgeous color concept key right at the top. Then a project blurb. Let the viewer know what software you use, how long the project took, if you made this project in a group setting, and exactly what you did. Third section should contain more absolutely beautiful renders and shots of the piece. If it's a concept piece, put all the uncolored turnarounds and call-out sheets here. Sell the whole project. Some more of those lovely pictures for anyone who skipped through the video you put at the top. Finally, breakdown section. This section is as important to getting hired as the top section, okay? You need to show your workings out. Just like in maths class, you get marks for this. At the very least, I want to see wireframes. I want to make sure that you're creating usable assets. Even if you can show materials here, show normal map, metal map, and roughness, do separate renders of hero props. You can even embed a Marmoset toolbag render. This is great, because I can really see all your wireframes, normals, and everything in 3D. If it's a concept piece, show the thumbnails, sketches, and color scripts you've made in this section. The top bit is for the recruiter. The bottom bit is mainly for the art director that's going to be hiring you. And a quick note on bad portfolio reviews. I have definitely had some reviews that got me feeling like this. Just a note to remember that sometimes a portfolio reviewer has the opinion that this work isn't for me, therefore it's not valuable. Maybe it doesn't fit with a studio aesthetic, or maybe it's because they can't give you advice because it's not their specialization. It's easier said than done, but try and take some positive takeaways. Listen out for the advice you feel is useful to you, and try and take that. A good portfolio review should make you want to improve your work, even if you've got some room to grow. And as always, other opinions are available. And I encourage you, if you do find yourself feeling down after a bad review, search out another person with maybe a closer style or specialization to you, and try and get their feedback. Do you want a portfolio review? I'm going to be at that section over there between 3 and 5 p.m., and come show me. But if you're not quite ready yet, that's fine. My email is going to be at the end of this talk. If you want a portfolio review at any time in the future, just send me an email. I'd be happy to comply with that, or send you to someone who will be able to. So we've got that portfolio, we've got all those skills, we're ready. Let's go get it. First up, where are all the companies at? First up, where are they? Easiest way to find them is the UK Games Industry map. This covers most of the trading UK game studios. It's a great way to find companies near where you already live. Follow studios that look like a good fit in your area on LinkedIn and social media to find out what events they'll be at and when they'll be hiring. There's also a worldwide map like this at gamedevmap.com. And don't worry, there's a QR code at the end of this talk with all these lovely links in. So it's crazy to think about this, but my last 5 jobs have all come from social media, amazingly. In my case, I follow artists from companies I wanted to work with on Twitter, but I've also got jobs from following companies on LinkedIn and signing up for company mailing lists. I even got some jobs from Facebook groups back in the day. Additionally, those communities that we talked about earlier also have community jobs boards. The UK Games Industry Slack has one, and the art community Discords tend to have them as well. Jobs boards are a great place to look when you don't have as many connections. I tend to find, though, by the time a job has arrived on boards like Indeed and Monster, the position is filled. Personally, I'd recommend concentrating on jobs boards that are specifically aimed at games roles. Many people have told me workwithindies.com is a great place to work, the GamesIndustry.biz website, and ArtStation jobs. Recruiters are also another way to get employed. This is especially useful if you have a commercial portfolio. For example, you're a UI UX designer, a graphic designer, or a marketing artist. I've worked with Aardvark Swift and Amaqus before, and they were very useful. Other opportunities. There are a number of paid internships at CG Arts, internships and apprenticeships that are not just for students or graduates. London Studio Player One program, Blue Zoo yearly internships, Sumo Academy are all really great paid internship schemes. My mentee Laura from Limit Break was working as a runway model when she got a London Studio Player One program internship for game design. And entrepreneurship. You want to start your own company instead? Check out incubators like the Tentacle Zone Incubator that supports people from diverse backgrounds to start their own games companies. You can also get help from the Prince's Trust to set up as a freelancer or to set up your own studio. And I'd also recommend looking up the Transfuser competition, which supports graduates in starting their own game studios and is also a really cool networking experience. There's also competitions to help get your work out there. The Rookies is for anyone with a less than a year experience, self-taught or not. All you need to do is show off that portfolio. Grads in Games also runs a similar contest for students at university. If you're stuck for an idea for a portfolio piece, why not try out an ArtStation challenge? A great way to get a ton of those eyeballs onto your work, no matter if you win or not. So, Universal Credit and JSA, if you do find yourself out of work, make sure that you are getting all the support that you're entitled to. When on JSA, you can ask for support setting up a business, go on courses about freelancing, even get help writing a CV or a grant for interview clothing. Definitely make use of those opportunities. The last time I was on JSA, I went on a course about freelancing. Try to find that regional support where it's available as well. What are the business or graduate schemes available to you in your area? I got my first art job through the Go Wales graduate scheme, designing swimming pools for oligarchs. My partner worked for a startup at Welsh Ice, an incubator based in Cardiff. Could you start a company with the help of a local incubator? Or maybe find a graduate scheme that will help you? And finally, I want to be really honest with you. Whilst games has been really good space for me personally, sometimes unfortunate things do happen. Being let go or made redundant has sadly happened to me. It's a reality of working, no matter the industry. Having a really strong community is vital at times like these. For example, the recent layoffs in the UK led to the community coming together on the UK Games Industry Slack to post as many jobs listings as possible for people. I've seen this happen with studio closures as well. People want to help people in this industry if they can. Being a good and supportive community member makes the games industry a lot better place for everyone involved. If you can, I always advise joining a union. In the UK games industry, we have two, the IWGB Game Workers Chapter and BECTU. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now. Or if you're a little bit shy, I'll be over at the EGX Careers Bar answering questions again portfolio reviews between 3 and 5. All the links I've talked about are available in that QR code, so yes, snap that. And that's going to be a website that I update regularly, so keep it bookmarked. And yeah, as Bill and Ted said, be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Do you want to do audience questions or just have people come up afterwards?
No questions is fine.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah. Does anybody have a question? Throw your hand up and I'll skitter over.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm wondering, like, if I wanted to look at portfolios in the type of art role that I want to get into, like a technical artist or marketing artist, like, how do I find these portfolios? And to see, like, what their portfolios look like.
Yeah, I'd really advise ArtStation. That's fully searchable, and it's searchable by artist, but it's also searchable, like, by specialization as well, and Behance too. Those two websites are where you can find the most portfolios available.
Thank you.
No worries.
Any more? Excellent. I'll come back in a sec. Just.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Hi, I just want to ask, do you think it's important to have a more cohesive art style throughout your portfolio? Like being as a junior artist, I'm still exploring the kind of art style. And sometimes I feel like studio, do they look at your art style more than like the skills you have? Or, because I feel like they want to take on board some people with much more similar art style into their team so they can start working as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, I think annoyingly, it's one of those things that it depends. Some studios work in a range of art styles and they want to see that diversity in your portfolio. And then some studios just have a very, very, very sort of known art style. And with those studios, they tend to be the ones more like wanting that portfolio to be ready for them. I think it depends if you have like a dream studio in mind, go for that and make that portfolio for them. But if you're more of a generalist, the UK games industry is really small. It's full of like really small games companies. And having a diverse portfolio with loads of different styles is actually an asset, I would say, in the UK.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, I'll do you then now.
Hello. When it comes to working on portfolio projects, do you have any advice for digging yourself out of a creative rut or like finding your way out of creative burnout and maybe deciding on what to work next?
Yeah, I think first off, you got to take care of yourself first. Make sure you feel emotionally ready to do that next portfolio piece. You don't have to be putting out like 4 a year. It's okay. 1 a year, like 1 every 5 years is fine. Try and make yourself like you're ready to do that next portfolio piece. And I think in terms of what you make, just make something that you really are passionate about. Even if it's weird, even if it doesn't have a place in the industry right now, I'd much rather see someone show who they are with a portfolio piece. And I think it helps you make it because you're just more interested in it because it's something that you really love. So definitely do something that you're really invested in. Go out to museums, go out to nature, like see the world around you and what's inspiring to you. Like the next portfolio I want to make is based on a library I saw at a museum a few weeks ago. And just let that like stuff come to you so that you feel like ready to take on those portfolio projects when inspiration hits.
Thank you.
No worries.
Nice. And I must get to this chap at the front who I kept running past.
Cheers, thank you. My question sort of was on from the previous one. Would you recommend, if you're struggling to think of pieces for portfolios, do you almost recommend creating like a little brief for yourself? So like, I want this one to be for an imaginary horror game, or I want this one to be for an imaginary RPG, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good idea. Setting yourself a brief for a creative challenge is definitely a great idea. Like, it's something I do. I find that I'm a very brief-driven artist, which I find that's why the ArtStation challenges are so good, because they give you a little brief to kind of work within, and I find that I'm more creative in that space. So yeah, that's definitely a really good idea. Well done. It's good.
Thank you very much.
Any more? Come on, last chance. Sorry, excellent.
There. As a prospective employer, if I'm looking at a range of CVs from various artists, what are the particular things that I should be looking at to really differentiate one from another if both appear to be similarly technically gifted?
Oof, that's really difficult. I think traditionally a lot of companies would typically give an art test in that situation. If you are going to give an art test, I would advise that they're very fair and paid and well-supported art tests. But that is typically something that people use if there's two candidates that are very similar to each other. I think ultimately it's getting those candidates into the interview room, seeing how well they mesh with the team, how their pipeline works, and how their brain really ticks. Because I feel like sometimes you just got to talk to those people to see which team would actually be better for them.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you for that. Excellent. They keep coming.
Hi again. Sorry, lost my train of thought. What was I thinking? Oh shit, I forgot.
That's right. You can catch me later if you remember it.
My brain works exactly the same way.
Hello, hi. Just want to ask another question. Have you ever had, have you ever had any incidents where you sent your portfolio out to companies and somehow they took your project and make it their own, and then
Oh, do you mean
how do
like
you resolve that?
you did a portfolio piece and then someone like took that idea? Is that what you mean?
Similar, like maybe, yeah, similar idea. Like, if your piece gets stolen, what do you do?
I mean, to be honest, that hasn't happened to me, and I've not experienced that happening in the industry, so I can't really say how common it is. But copyright law is very complicated, and I'm not the right person to talk about that, unfortunately.
No worries. Yeah, excellent.
So, like, for a junior who's trying to get into the industry, who wants to learn and want to get better, get the experience that way, how important is it to have the pre-existing skills in an art job versus personality? Because I keep hearing like a lot of different, like you need to be a good person and then the skills come later, or the skills are really important. What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to start off at a place where your portfolio is industry ready at a junior level. I think finding those graduate portfolios is really key to that. And then the cultural fit and that kind of stuff will come later during the interview process. First off, you've got to get those skills like up to that junior level, and then all this other stuff can kind of come along later. I think it's one of those things that, like, as an industry, I think we could do better about training on the job, but I think that's something that we've all been working towards as well as an industry. Hopefully, it will get better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
Hi, my question would be, if you have to pick between an actual junior, or someone who would like to change careers, what would define those portfolios for you, or how would you pick?
For me, a portfolio for a junior that speaks to me, like says what their artistic voice is always good for me. Like, does this person really have like a look? Do they really enjoy photoreal, like high-end assets? Do they really like stylized kind of assets? I like to see someone who kind of has a voice for me, and because it's very easy to teach people the technical skills. Having that eye is one of those things that you have to develop yourself, and just the sort of general competence that I can help them like once a week, but ultimately that they're prepared enough to be able to make things on their own as well, like proof that they can make assets on their portfolio that they themselves had made from beginning to end. So I won't have to handhold them as much.
Thank you.
No worries.